There are so many players that say that Rise of Kingdoms is a dying game and that the best advice to give someone is to delete the game. Well, even though I disagree with all of that, I do want to talk about some of the reasons as to why players are quitting Rise of Kingdoms. You know, real reasons, not the complaining like, oh, whales kill the game, or Lilith doesn't even care about the free-to-plays anymore. No, I'll talk about real scenarios that players have to go through that are either make or break when it comes to quitting the game or making it to the end game. So the first reason I'll give on why players are quitting is how long it takes to get to KVK 1. Depending on which kingdom you land in on that continent, it takes around 85 to 105 days to reach KVK 1. Now I understand why it takes so long. It's because it takes forever to build your city and army, and we all know this game is a long marathon, and so having to wait like 3 months to fight is where a huge drop rate comes from. I don't think there really is a way to fix this issue because this is just the way the game works. I'm just saying this is why a lot of players probably don't stay around to the endgame. You can't really blame them either. I mean, they came to play a war game after all, and now they have to wait 3 months to finally see some action, which partially leads into reason 2. And that is that the marketing for this game is extremely misleading. Apart from the ads failing to connect with Western culture because of the horrible acting, unrealistic scenarios, and just being cringe in general, the game requires you to be at peace with everyone for the first 100 days. So even though the ads are saying that new players will crush their enemies if they just strategize correctly, it doesn't really work like that. So what ends up happening is the people that actually download the game because of the ads are expecting to download this game and go to war or whatever, and then they get hit with the whole, yeah, this might be a war game, but we all have to be at peace and get as strong as possible so that we can fight the other kingdoms. And then they're just like, well, that's stupid. What kind of war game requires you to be at peace all the time? And so then they quit because they were given this false narrative as to how the game works. Maybe switching up the way the game is marketed might help, unless there's a method as to why they do it like that and it's better that way. I don't know, I'm just saying that that's why a lot of players quit at the beginning, because they downloaded the game thinking it was going to be something totally different because of the way that the game was advertised. Next we go on to reason number 3, and that would be the toxicity of the community, whether it's intentional or unintentional. So the Rise of Kingdoms community is very nice and kind, and when you ask for help, generally everyone is willing to help, if you hit your KVK requirements. If you don't meet requirements, you get put on a watch list or just kicked out and possibly zeroed until you leave. There is no love for deadweights in this game or people who don't contribute as much, which is understandable from one side because you don't want them bringing your kingdom down. But then that puts everyone in this situation where you're not only playing a marathon game, but you're also grinding every day of that marathon in order to keep up. And so that's why many players quit as well. They have to either be all in or all out. It's very difficult to find a place where you can find that in between and still be safe. And I'm just gonna throw this out there, but some of y'all are just weird too. So many perverts messaging people thinking that they're females and just saying weird things. I don't know, just quit being weird. Maybe that's what's making people quit. Then we have reason number 4, and that would be the harsh transition from KVK 3 to Season of Conquest. This is something that's difficult to fix, but how do kingdoms just coming into Season of Conquest fight off old kingdoms that have had access to the commanders that the new kingdoms are seeking since before that kingdom was even born? I don't know if that makes sense, but basically how are newer accounts supposed to fight off accounts that are way stronger due to the accumulation of time that they've had? Those older kingdoms outmatch the newer ones in terms of experience, gear, armaments, and commanders. It's really sad to see well-organized and strong kingdoms go into Season of Conquest and getting obliterated upon arrival only because they were too fresh compared to the competition. When that happens, the kingdom goes into turmoil and players leave and that community falls apart and many don't know what to do or where to go, so they just quit. Everything that they built crumbled and so people go their separate ways. So I think that's another reason as to why players quit. And finally, we have reason 5, zeroing. Zeroing is something that happens every KVK. Many times people get zeroed because they got drunk and passed out, overslept or fell asleep mid-fight, got distracted with work or life, or whatever. It can happen to anyone at any point. But oftentimes someone will get zeroed and they had no intention of even being rallied in the first place, and then they lose all their troops, get their resources taken from them, and on top of that, they deal with the internal humiliation of your kingdom witnessing the zeroing of your city. So when something like that happens to someone, oftentimes they simply just quit because they don't like the idea that everything that they worked for just got taken from them, or they're too ashamed to face their kingdom, so the easy thing to do is quit because you can. Why deal with all that stuff when you don't have to? There are many other reasons on why players quit the game. These are just the 5 that I can think about. If you know more, feel free to comment down below. Anyways, thanks for watching. Later.